Rachel Zegler's Snow White live-action remake for Disney is coming around the bend, but it sounds like Disney has a different problem on their hands. When you have someone as controversial as Rachel Zegler, someone who goes fan base by fan base, mocking the fans of this company and Snow White, what are they going to do when this character is supposed to appear in the parks? Let's talk about Disney's dilemma here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me today is the fairest of them all, Mr. Vash Guy. Vash, how you doing today?
I am doing just fine. Just had my morning coffee right here. Took a bite of the apple. You know, apple a day keeps the doctor away. Oh, wait, that doesn't work in the Snow White universe. Rats. Well, doing all right.
Apples make the men's mouths water or something like that, according to the creepy old lady that's actually the queen. Sorry. Let's talk about this article, though, from That Park Place. Rachel Zegler's Snow White avoided at the Disney parks. Why Disney World and Disneyland are in a hard spot. There she is, right there. That charmer, Rachel Zegler. Usually, when a big Disney movie comes out, you can expect to see the characters from the film appearing in Disney World and Disneyland. There are times when those films are such poorly received losers that the characters are very quickly shuffled off the lists. For those times, you might catch a glimpse of a rarely worn costume appearing at a special event. Most guests will likely say, "Who is that?" The only time I've ever seen somebody go, "Who is that?" at the parks, by the way, it was Rebecca from Tailspin. I don't know why she was out at the parks. I specifically remember it was in that 20,000 Leagues-ish area that got turned into a character meet and greet. Vash, what's the weirdest character you've seen in the park?
Oh, well, I mean, initially it was the alt Tiana from her attraction there. When it first came out, this was long before the attraction actually opened at Walt Disney World. A lot of people were like, "Who's that?" Because it looked like somebody in very in cosplay, essentially. And it was like,
going on safari. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
But then there are also times when Disney is stuck with a character tie-in where there is simply no good solution, such as the case with the Little Mermaid live-action remake from 2023. The film severely underperformed box office expectations. Instead of breaking $1 billion, the film may have actually lost money given a gargantuan reported budget and marketing spend. Unfortunately, the film was also tied to racial tensions. Ahead of the film, the cast placed a heavy emphasis on the race-swapped Ariel character. After the film performed poorly, blame was sometimes placed upon a society that allegedly did not want a non-white mermaid. At this point, we believe you can determine for yourself what you think might have contributed to the film's demise. You know what's interesting about this film? Like Pro didn't like it. I didn't watch this one myself. It seemed like it had a lot of problems. It seemed like it was somewhere between like The Lion King with a lack of animation on the animal characters and just general disinterest.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Scuttlebutt really became a meme. But if you look at the footage from this film, right, first of all, it's very dark. It's not very much in keeping with the animated film, which was, utilizing bright colors. And in my opinion, it came out right after Avatar: The Way of Water, and you had some incredible under the sea sequences within that movie. And then when you compare it to this, which I believe some of the trailers for this actually played in front of that movie, it just didn't look as impressive.
Oh, so, yeah, the whole thing was weird. I think only her face was actually live action here. So. And even, I'm sure in some instances, it would have been a CGI double. Her hair had to be completely done in CG. This is the kind of thing where essentially, why not just make it an animated film and call it an animated film and put some eyeballs on Flounder over here that can express themselves? If you're going to remake the movie, just remake the movie. I don't know. And Halle Bailey, there's nothing wrong with the actress or anything like that, but I don't think that they did her a good service by putting her in this film.
No.
Let's talk about Snow White, though. Separate from such issues, however, is the huge problem that was faced by the Disney Parks and Experiences division of the company. Meet and greets with the new live-action mermaid, Little Mermaid, were scheduled, casting was done, and publicity was generated. Though the movie underperformed, there was no way the parks could remove the character opportunity in the way they typically would with a box office flop. So instead, a perhaps even more egregious error was allowed to continue on unabated. While long lines were always expected for the traditional cartoon Ariel at Magic Kingdom, by the way, just going through like Ariel's grotto and the meet and greet there, the Hollywood Studios theme park meet and greet with the new Ariel was often completely empty of anyone attempting to see her because they put the cartoon Ariel in Magic Kingdom and they put the new Ariel in Hollywood Studios. Even Disney must have recognized the problem and had her appear in a less trafficked area of the park. All of that was lackluster and created terrible optics. Here we have a tweet from Ashley Carter. Ariel from Disney's live action The Little Mermaid is now making limited time appearances at Disney's Hollywood Studios. The meet and greet was located at Walt Disney Presents. The character is also appearing at Disneyland Resort and Disneyland Paris. I'll go over to the photo here. It's nothing wrong with this meet and greet, by the way. But Walt Disney Presents, if you are a person who casually goes to the parks, I would defy you to tell me on a map where Walt Disney Presents is at Disney's Hollywood Studios.
That's a fair point, actually. That's a good point. No, I mean, when this debuted, I know a lot of people were excited to meet this version of Ariel. But the parks have kind of struggled with this a little bit. I remember when the Angelina Jolie led film Maleficent actually came out originally, people were very excited for that character. People were very excited for that film. And people often asked at the parks, interestingly enough, when they saw Maleficent, it's like, well, where's the actual Maleficent, in which they were talking about Angelina Jolie's character? People didn't necessarily have the same sentiments as attached to this version of Ariel for whatever reason. But it just kind of goes to show you that, and I think this is kind of the heart of the article, when you have a very popular a version of a character or popular character in general, people want to see that version or that character. And when it comes to Rachel Zegler's Snow White, I just don't know if it's going to have the same effect as maybe Angelina Jolie's Maleficent did. It might be closer to this version of Ariel that we saw here.
I think you're probably right. If we're talking about Rachel Zegler's Snow White, well, Prode puts it well in this paragraph here. Rachel Zegler's upcoming live-action remake of the beloved original Disney animated classic 1938, when most people saw it, is fraught with controversy. The film's trailer amassed a historic 1 million dislikes since it was shown to the world at D23. Box office projections for the film likely have the reshot amalgamation of boardroom and focus group catastrophes at a flop for the ages. It's now reasonable to surmise this would compete with the Marvels and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny for biggest cinematic loser of all time. So what is Disney going to do with a theme park tie-in? Let's talk about this right here. There's, of course, the original controversy of Rachel Zegler getting on the D23 purple carpet with Gal Gadot, or however she pronounces her last name. And they both say the same talking points. But when Rachel Zegler says it, she gets a little too loose with it and starts talking about how it's not going to be 1937 anymore, and she's not going to be fawning over a prince. I think they were trying to say they were going to modernize the film. These are the kind of things that you think that an executive says, yeah, we're going to update it. It's not going to be like that original one with all the love story aspect. She's not going to be somebody that everybody is thinking is going to be in a relationship. By the way, the relationship is the bookends of that film. It is the start of that film. It is the end of that film. Starts with Snow White pining for the one she loves to find her. And by the way, he shows up kind of magically. She sings him into existence, as it were, or sings him into her existence, I should say, and then ends with that same concept here. It is also true love's kiss. It is not a matter of some random stranger and all this stuff that they want to put onto it because they haven't actually seen this masterpiece of a film. So and she also might have suggested that Hollywood is so coarse that they might cut out her male co-star from the film altogether. She got super awkward with it. And
she was.
I don't think anybody liked what she said.
No. I think she was speaking as if she was speaking to like a Hollywood party, for example, just one-on-one and really trying to make a thing about it, where I don't think she quite understood the setting that she was in. So that's why she kind of played fast and loose with it. All those pesky things that have seen this film endure for almost 90 years. We're going to go ahead and do away with all of that. This is going to be modern. It's going to be awesome.
And if there was going to be a crowd that actually likes the 1937 Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's going to be at D23.
Well, yes, you would think so. I mean, understand where you're at. Unfortunately, it was a little, one could say, weird.
Weird, yeah. There's also that, of course, she participated in the cancellation campaign against Gina Carano. She also seemed to downplay a lot of this. She participated in something that sounded like a cancellation campaign against Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner, right now, we're all rooting for him to heal from his heroic act that obviously put him in the ICU for a couple of days, more than a couple of days. We're all pulling for him. And then, of course, there's the fact that when this trailer went out, she weighed in on a geopolitical situation that I'm going to say that she's probably not very informed on, and took sides in a let's say, a controversial issue. A controversial issue, which, by the way, her Israeli co-star, Gal Gadot, is probably on the opposite side of that issue. So she's really making the rounds on offending people here. So you have someone here that may be tanking the entire film. One thing that I want to point out is this is a film that has everything going for it on paper. First of all, it is a live action remake of a Disney classic. So these have done well at the box office up until the last few years. 2019, by the way, is when The Shine came off the Apple. Actually, after 2019, because Lion King was Disney's last over $1 billion film for a very long time. It's directed by Mark Webb, who is he's got a pretty good filmography. I'm going to say a little bit uneven here. He was the one in charge of The Amazing Spider-Man, which did make money. And then he got a lot put on him in order to make The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't think that's his fault for what was done to that film. Also worked on Gifted, 500 Days of Summer. He's a good director, is what I'm trying to say. The screenplay is by Greta Gerwig, who obviously did the Barbie movie. Now, I know that this audience may not be crazy about the Barbie movie, but it made a lot of money, and it has to do with Greta Gerwig there. It also is starring Rachel Zegler, who, well, box office wise, let's not talk about that. Gal Gadot, obviously, Wonder Woman, Pasek and Paul, who did the music for The Greatest Showman, among other things. Also, I think they did some work on La La Land. If this is going to be a musical, which it should be, if it's Snow White, there's a lot of reasons that those are the talented people that you want involved in this film. I'm just saying, on paper, there's a lot of things about this film that are really great, and it seems like Rachel Zegler is working her hardest to wipe all of that away. So I don't know what Disney does for this in the parks. Oh, well, there's the other fact that we all have ignored. The original thing is that Snow White, by the nature of her character, is supposed to be someone who's very pale skinned, and Rachel Zegler, a beautiful woman, but she's also not very pale skinned.
Yes, yeah, and that becomes kind of awkward when speaking about the film, because it's Snow White. It's tough, Jonas, because like you said, on paper this should be a home run. It shouldn't have any issues whatsoever, especially in the modern era with so much CGI and so many great examples of amazing cinema coming out of the Walt Disney Company, especially as it relates to their live action films. Now, some people have a lot of opinion about those. I get it, but like you said, they were successful. At least some of them very successful. So in that way, it's like this is a story kind of made for that format, and yet they have just fumbled the ball over and over and over again. Sometimes things within their control, sometimes completely out of their control.
Right, and at this point, we're looking at. I don't know. If somebody told me this film cost $500 million to make at this point, I would believe it. That would be on the high range of what I think this costs. I think World of Real, did they say $400 million to make a Snow White movie? I don't think this is going to pull in Star Wars The Force Awakens numbers, because that's what you need from the box office in order to justify that amount of spending on making a film like this. So I don't know, what is Disney going to do with this in the parks? Are they going to put her in the Walt Disney Presents theater here? Is this going to be the last thing that goes into the animation courtyard? I don't know. Let us know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Of course, like this video if you like this video, and if you wouldn't mind consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.